Well, with episode 75 arriving, we are still going to be hanging out on the farm. Today, we are discussing the sheep. And while, yes, the game specifies it as the Hill Radnor sheep, for the most part, a sheep is a sheep. In any case, let's get into it. Known scientifically as Ovis aries, they are the domesticated sheep. Unlike the cattle of the last episode, where different breeds can look really different, sheep don't. The only real differences are going to be wool production and horn quantity and or style. But what exactly is a domestic sheep? I know it sounds kind of dumb, but if you notice, wild sheep look pretty distinct from a domestic one. Well, that is due to advanced breeding done by humans, and we will discuss that as we enter the history section. So, let's get into it. The evolution of the sheep is actually somewhat more well understood from our previous entry, though while saying that the exact evolution is a slight mystery, but it has been narrowed down to two options. First, that the domesticated sheep evolved directly from the mouflon, which is a wild sheep species from the Lesser Caucasus and the Zagros Mountains in Iran. The other being that the two had a common ancestor and split down evolutionary lines. If it's the former, then the woolly coat was bred into the animals as an advantageous trait. If it's the latter, then perhaps the species evolved to somewhat have a shaggy coat itself, and humans figured to exemplify it over time. Either way, the sheep was domesticated around the same time as the cattle, anywhere from 11,000 to 9,000 BC. And same as the cattle, this was first noted in Mesopotamia. Though, interestingly, we do have better migratory records. It was first thought to have made its way into the Indus River Valley, roughly 7,000 BC, and deep into Europe by 6,000 BC. And this is actually a very important time frame, by the way. You see, fossils in Britain also date back to this time. This means there is a very real possibility that sheep were brought to the Isles by foot. Not that long ago, the island of Britain was actually the peninsula, connected to France and the lowlands by a place known as Doggerland, named after the now existing Dogger Bank. The land bridge wouldn't fully disappear until 6,500 BC, and archaeology, not being a perfect science, could have the time frames off due to erosion, burial, all sorts of other natural phenomena, but that is merely a hypothesis. Now, sheep were originally domesticated for their meat rather than their wool, and that's actually where our chosen sheep, the Hill Radnor, comes into play. It was originally bred in the Welsh counties of Powys and Monmouthshire, and the English county of Herefordshire. They were originally noted in 1911 and thus have very little unique information about them in particular. Speaking of the Welsh, I believe this is the perfect place to start discussing culture. The Welsh have a very strong connection to sheep, and sheep farming in general, to be fair, and their love for the animal can best be recognized in the National Wool Museum in Drefachfildre. That, and their very pronounced stereotype that Welsh men fuck sheep. But, while the worship of sheep by the Welsh is more meme than myth, there are plenty of religious connotations the cotton cow coincides with. A few are the Egyptian god Khnum, who controlled the floods of the Nile, which were relatively stable compared to other places, the Mesopotamian queen of heaven Ishtar, and that is a dramatic simplification, and the Greek god of war Ares, who most likely inspired its scientific name. Though, to be fair, Ares was connected specifically with rams and not sheep as a species. In addition, staying on the Greek theme, the Golden Fleece from the Argonautica, aka Jason and the Argonauts, was said to come from a gold-winged ram known as Chrysomelos. In the Abrahamic faiths, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, and King David were all sheep herders, and Jesus is also often associated with sheep and lambs as the Son of God. His innocence and being the son, or the younger, modeled the lamb better than the sheep, and also in relation to sacrifice. And we'll get into that in a moment. Speaking of sacrifice, in Islam's Eid al-Adha, animals like goats and sheep are often slaughtered in remembrance of Abraham not sacrificing his son Ishmael. The sheep is also the 8th animal in the Chinese zodiac, and in Mongolia, dice are often made of sheep bone and are used to aid in fortune telling. The influence of sheep in global culture cannot be understated because, quite honestly, I just barely scratched the surface. With sayings like lamb to the slaughter to referring people as sheep, or to count sheep in an attempt to fight insomnia. It is insane how much one animal can affect the world, and it really is that background character everyone forgets about until you start looking back at the episodes and realize they're always there and they're always doing something important. Because who knows what history would look like today. Now, before I round this out, let's talk about their aid in science. Sheep are often used as experimental animals, and some have been humane, some not so much, but some of the good to come out of it needs to be addressed. For instance, sheep are one of the main animals used in cardiovascular research, helping fight against things like high blood pressure and heart failure as a whole. They're also a useful model for human pregnancy, giving scientists a way to research fetal development without going all Unit 731 on innocent women. And, of course, we can't talk about sheep and science without discussing their usefulness in the field of cloning. As ever since 1995, we have proven capable of cloning a living animal when we created the twins Megan and Morgan. Though, a year later, Dolly would become more famous, but that's beside the point. All in all, the sheep have been an absolute gift to humanity, and their contribution to our history, culture, and science should never be forgotten, because I haven't even talked about the influence of wool equipment that aided armies, settlements, pilgrims, colonials, all over the world, all throughout history. And, oh, that's right, I forgot. I was making a video about zoo animals. Well, anyway, that seems to be all I have for you guys today. It really is just a testament to show how basic some animals look to us that have absolutely shaped our world. And it's an interesting thing to really get all the information on a piece of paper and be like, oh my god, this is massive. So, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, share, sub, all that stuff. You know how it works. And until next week, go outside, touch grass, hug your loved ones, drink water, and bye-bye.